Hello and welcome to another video lecture. This from MrWatkins.com. This one is going to be on acids and bases. It's going to be very short, very simple, not a lot of detail here, but enough to help you with pre-AP Bio or IB Biology get through what you need to understand about acids and bases. First, we need to look at water. Water we have been writing as HOH, H2O, and water will break down into hydrogen ions and hydroxide ions. And if you note, there's an equal amount of hydrogen ions to hydroxide ions. And we say that this thing is neutral, that water is neutral. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, let's look at the pH scale. So here's going to be my pH scale. pH scale neutral is 7, it's dead in the middle, and then we have 0 on one side and 14 on the other. So here in the middle is neutral. At this point, at 7, neutral means that the hydrogen ions are equal to the hydroxide ions. Well, what is actually pH? And this being our pH scale. See, pH, that's lowercase p, capital H, is equal to the negative log of the hydrogen ion concentration. These brackets mean concentration, and it's this hydrogen ion here, how much hydrogen ions are in this solution, that determines acidity. Now, as this number gets bigger, as we have more and more hydrogen ions, this negative log you don't need to know about, but the negative log causes the number, the pH number, to get closer and closer to 0. So if the more hydrogen ions you have, the closer to 0 you get, the stronger the acid. So 0 to 7 is going to be acidic, with the hydrogen ions being greater than the hydroxide ions in that particular solution. Now, as we have this hydrogen ion number get smaller, this negative log is going to cause the number to get closer and closer to 14. And this is what we call a base, or it's basic. And the stronger base is closer to 14. So the closer you get to 14, the stronger the base gets. And here, the hydrogen ion concentration is less than the hydroxide ion concentration. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's look at hydrochloric acid. It's an acid that's found in the stomach, has a pH of around 1 or so. Hydrochloric acid can break down or dissociate into hydrogen ions and chlorine ions. Notice there is no OH here. This is a strong acid. We've got lots of hydrogen ions that can be produced here. We also have sodium hydroxide that we sometimes use in certain labs as a base. And again, this can break down into sodium and hydroxide ions. So here we have our sodium and our hydroxide. So this is a strong base. We have lots of hydroxide ions here, no hydrogen ions. If we were to mix hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide together, so that we had hydrochloric acid plus sodium hydroxide as our reactants, what would end up happening is this hydrogen and this hydroxide would join. And when they do that, you get water. And that the sodium and this chlorine would join, and when they do that, you get salt. If you notice here, we get the equal number of hydrogen ions to hydroxide ions. That makes it neutral. Prior, when we just had the hydrochloric acid, we just had hydrogen ions, that was a very strong acid. Also, before we mix these two molecules together, the sodium hydroxide only had hydroxide ions, and that was closer to the base, stronger. When we mix those two together, and as long as we mix them in equal proportions, the hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide, we don't get an acid or a base. We get water and salt. We get salt water. Here's the idea that you need to take away. Hydrogen ion, increase in hydrogen ion, an acid. More hydroxide or fewer hydrogen ions, that's going to be a base. This is going to be important later when we discuss photosynthesis and cellular respiration. There may be some other things online that you can look at, as well as the chemistry packet notes. Thank you.